Everyone, it's Epic Underworlds, and this is another episode of TCG Academy where I teach you guys all the steps on how you can make your very own trading card games at home. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to plan your first TCG, like a pro. So the planning step is oftentimes all the behind the scenes things that when you finally play your card game, all of that hard work and amazing planning pays off, because then you have such a polished game, and when people play it, it is so much fun. Whereas if you skip this step, probably gonna have to remake another game to fix all those mistakes you made, because this step, I know it's maybe not the most fun part for some people, but it pays off so much. So definitely do not sleep on this step. The first thing you're gonna want to do is get some sort of notebook. This was my design journal for Perpetual Cosmos, and I just filled it with a bunch of notes, you know, my plan for when I was going to release the TCG, more template designs, and then stuff like that. So get a notebook and fill it with stuff. Okay, so the first step that I always do whenever I make a TCG is what I like to call the mood draft. I basically take all my ideas and just slop it down onto one paper. It doesn't matter if you don't think the idea is good in the moment, just get everything down, empty your brain of all your ideas, look at inspirations, and write everything down on paper. So then when you're finally able to make your first set of cards, you can pick and choose and sift through all these ideas in choosing what you want to make a TCG. And also remember, your TCG can't have everything. If you want to add all these other mechanics into one game, it's going to get oversaturated. So try to just choose a few mechanics that you like and keep the game simple, because the biggest tip I can give you, complexity comes from the card abilities, not the game system itself. The great thing about TCGs is the game system is simple, so anyone can pick it up, but then they can choose what cards they want to use. So if they want to play a really complicated deck, the players can choose what cards they want, or if they're a new player, they can choose simpler cards. So make sure to make the complexity come from the card abilities and not the system itself. The system itself should be very easy to pick up and play. And this mood draft can include anything from themes to lore to favorite mechanics to maybe even art styles. Like if you're going for more of a Van Gogh-esque art style, or maybe you're going for a really digital art style, it's really up to you. It can be any style you want for your cards. And then just write down all your favorite mechanics or all your favorite things about TCGs. Don't care about other people's influences for this, because you want to make a card game that you want to play, and then people will join if it's really good. So even if, I know a lot of people don't like dice in TCGs, but if you like dice, you make a dice TCG. Because you like it, you're going to be motivated way more to make a card game than if you were making it for someone else. So mood drafting, you can also paste or print out some images of cool art styles or cool mechanics or tips. Just put everything you want in this mood draft and just fill it. You can make it kind of like a collage in a sense. Then once you have all these mechanics and all these fun ideas written down, you're going to turn to the next page and start drafting templates. This is really important, because just draft as many as you can think of. But remember, there's a few things to take into mind when creating templates, especially handmade. And the number one thing is you want the template to be simple enough where you can keep replicating it over and over again when you're making it hand-drawn, whereas if it was really complicated, it would take you way too long to make a bunch of cards, unless that's what you're going for. But trust me, after making hundreds of cards, you really want that template to be simple. You also want the template to fit your art style. So, for example, if it's a complete digital style for the template and just complete hand-drawn, maybe that wouldn't look the best. But if it's nice hand-drawn and smooth with blended, where your artwork's also blended and smooth, you know, that fits. Here's a digital game I made. Again, I tried to put more emphasis on the art. So if you want to put more emphasis on the art, you know, you can make the art box better, or you can find a nice like even medium. And I think this is a really even medium where you have a nice text box for half the card and then the ability and all the stats for the other half. And be creative. You can even put the stats on a certain part of the card. But what I recommend is putting, I didn't follow it in this one, but putting the stats on this side, because when you're fanning out the cards in your hand when playing, you only really see this side of the corners of the cards. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're playing in person. All right, so we have all the base mechanics written down and we have the template down. Now is the part where you have to plan out your first set. Now, a lot of people just completely don't plan out their game. They just make cards and cards and cards and then remake them and then playtest, change and change. But I recommend having like a little set list. Maybe your first set is just a 50 card beta set, just to playtest with your friends. Plan out all those cards, so then when you're making a card, you don't have to think of ability on the spot that might be unbalanced. You can just have it all here and balance it on one sheet. Then, once you have all that balanced, all the mechanics, you're going to be making some playtest cards. These can be any size. I've made so many playtest cards in my lifetime for making TCGs. They don't even need art. They just need to be able to have all the abilities and stuff, so you can play them solo or with a friend and Just this step is where you can experiment. Now, this step is sometimes not that fun, but it pays off so much. Because if you just make a game and publish it without even playtesting, there's gonna be so many mistakes that you might think are fine, but you completely overlooked. Definitely experiment in this. Try new mechanics. Maybe this version has a dice roll mechanic, and then this version doesn't. And maybe this version has no combat. Maybe this version has a different win condition. Just make a ton of different versions and play tests and choose your favorite aspects and merge that into your favorite version. And then of course, playtest that. But yeah, playtest, 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 playtest. If you want your game to be really good and really polished and you want that game to sell, you're gonna wanna make it really good and put a lot of work into it. Some other things you should ask is, do you want types in your card game? Types is really fun for balancing because then you can basically have it where not everyone can use all the same cards. You have to choose a specific type, and then they're usually a lot more balancing when it comes to this. Or you could just you can use any card in your deck. But definitely try to make some sort of limitations so then people can't just put like 4 copies of the best card in their deck. Maybe you have limited copies, like maybe commons can only have 3 per copy and rares can only have 1 per copy. So definitely try to implement some balancing like that. Another thing is card draw. Make sure your card draw isn't too crazy. Like if you have a draw 3 cards for maybe a 0 cost, that's really powerful. Or even a draw 2 for 0 cost. Draw support allows the player to literally just choose the best cards and fill the rest of the deck with draw support. So then they can use those to get to the best cards and pull off crazy combos. So definitely be more lenient when it comes to draw support and understand that. Also, when you're coming up with the name for your card game, I usually do that second. It's like writing a book and writing the last line of it. How are you supposed to know like what everything comes before that? So make your game and then that'll inspire the name so it all blends in. Also, if you are demotivated, maybe choose a part of the design process that you enjoy. Maybe it's designing archetypes. I'll make a video on that in the future. Maybe it's art. Just focus on art for one day if you're really into that. You know, you don't have to do a little bit of art, a little bit of game balancing. I know that's really effective, but if you're demotivated and you have no intent on making a card game, just focus on your favorite part. Maybe it's even just designing fun abilities. Just go on a Google Doc and look at other card games. Like maybe you look at Magic and you look up the most fun card abilities, write those down, and kind of form your own versions of those. I'll have a whole video coming up on how to design card abilities because that's a really fun topic to talk about. Okay, so now you have your game skeleton pretty much done. You've done some play testing. Now you got to decide what you want your first product to be. And there's a few different options. So when making your first thing, you can make like a 50 card beta set to play test with your friends, or you can go all in and make a 100 card first set with a bunch of different cards which you'll playtest over time. Or maybe you just want to release 2 starter decks so people can pick up the game and play right away. Choose your topic and then make a schedule. Like for example, starter deck. Choose the theme, so maybe it's like ants or insects, and then choose the playstyle. Maybe it's aggro, where it's really attacking. Maybe it's control, where you want to try to stop what your opponent's doing. Maybe it's just combo, where you spend the whole game, maybe, and then finally you get all the cards you need to do a game-winning combo. So choose the playstyle, maybe if you're doing a starter deck, and then make a timeline of, okay, I'm going to make 3 cards a day on this day. I'm going to play test it on this day. Make 3 cards, play test, maybe, you know, work on the packaging, maybe work on the marketing videos and stuff. But definitely if you're choosing a bigger project, you're going to want to split it up so it seems easier in the moment. So maybe if you're designing a huge set, split it up into, okay, this day I'm going to design an archetype. This day I'm going to design some attachment cards or spell cards. This day I'm going to be making some boss cards. So split it up so then you know what you're going to do during that day and you won't waste any time. But yeah, a basic overview of what I talked about in this video. Don't do everything at once in a card game. Just make it simple and then have the complexity come from the card abilities themselves. When you're drafting your TCG, write down all your ideas and sift that down when play testing into your favorite elements. Make sure you experiment. If you want to make a really unique TCG, you can't just make one version and expect that to be unique. You got to make a few and then choose those mechanics and make the best game. So in order to be unique, you really need a lot of experience and experimentation. If you're struggling with demotivation, work on specific parts that you enjoy about the process and then do the other parts on a day when you want to do those. Like if I'm sick of doing art, maybe I'll do game balancing another day. If you're also feeling down, play the game with your friends. Go out to your local game store or to school and find someone to play test your game, even if it's with those crappy playtest cards, and see how the game plays. Is it fun with playing with another person? If it is, then you might have a really good game. Again, plan out your first set, plan out your first product, plan out your templates, and just plan out a lot of stuff, because it'll all come into handy later. And you can even make like a giant binder, or you could even make a video series recording your process. But it is so helpful when you know what you're doing on the day you're designing a specific part of the game, because otherwise you're just going in blind and you have no idea what to work on and you don't get anything done. And that's why people always ask me, how can I make like 5 card games in 1 year? It's because I know what I'm doing, I have a plan, and I use this system. So I'm not just saying facts for this video, I'm saying things that actually genuinely helped me and how I was able to make games with the right mindset and plans in place. And then once that's all over, you can even make lore for your game, you know, have fun making some contests, start a Discord server, grow a community, make a YouTube channel, show off your game, build a community. So there's so much fun stuff out there to do in TCGs, and I really hope this video helped you. And that was another video of TCG Design Academy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.